Now that the 2022 season has come to an end, this is basically where everybody talks about all their rankings and everything they've done this year. So here's my top 10. Before we get into my reasoning for placing it here, this is at my home park, so I feel like I'm a little bit biased towards it, but I really do love it and I feel like it is a very solid ride. I don't know if I've learned to appreciate the ride a lot more, but I noticed after 2021 the trims hit a lot less, meaning a back row ride absolute gold. Then the operations are actually insane. If it wasn't for Copperhead and Fury, I feel like it'll have the best operations in the park. And I often feel like people forget that Intimidator basically paved the way for Carowinds to be an A-list park. So remember, Intimidator walked so Fury could run. No, but all jokes aside, this is an amazing coaster and I can't wait to get more rides in March. Going into this next coaster, I was expecting a tame, family-oriented launching coaster, but I was proven wrong by its sheer sense of speed and intensity. Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay is one of the few coasters I would actually call perfect. And I actually think this is a great stepping stone from coasters like Fire Chaser Express to like Maverick. But honestly, it seems like everyone enjoys this ride, so not much to complain about. Staying in the exact same park, we have Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa, the classic B&M invert. And y'all, don't hate me, but I found it a little bit overrated. My train had a weird tapping sound. It wasn't a rattle, but it was more of a tap. And no, I am not the type of person to complain about those types of things. It was just an observation. And a little unpopular opinion, I feel like Afterburn is just as intense as Montu. But polarizing opinions aside, I thought it was a great coaster and I give it an 8.5 out of 10. Sticking with B&M, we have Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia. Honestly, I had a little bit of trouble placing this over Montu because I feel like Montu is a better ride if that makes sense, but I just really love airtime and this finale just really does it. Also, I hear a lot of enthusiasts complain about a rattle. I don't really hear it, but please comment down below if you do. I found it butter smooth. The double helix, I loved it. Nearly grayed out, but not quite. Okay, overall, I really love this ride, and I'm ready to get more rides on it. Going back to Florida, we have the Incredible Hulk. And my only question is why haven't parks been buying these tire-propelled sit-downs? And I know Hulk has a clone Decepticoaster over in China, but the pacing just doesn't hit the same. Plus it has vests. This take may or may not be polarizing, but Hulk is definitely a back row ride. And I say that because my first two rides were in the front and middle, and I thought it was alright, but then Coaster Dash actually recommended me riding in the back, and it basically changed the whole ride experience. Now staying in the same park, we have Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. Now everything about this coaster is nearly perfect except for the name, of course, and I laughed the whole way throughout, but it could use some more airtime, but nothing's perfect. But all jokes aside, it has no airtime. You know, I also really love this ride because it encourages you to work out and, walk off that butterbeer that you just guzzled a few minutes ago and basically run a whole marathon just to get to the queue. Okay. Enough Hagrid's hate for the day. But I definitely really love this ride and I think it deserves all the hype. Back at my home park in Charlotte, North Carolina, we have Copperhead Strike. Copperhead Strike is definitely an underrated ride, but it is a little bit polarizing because I have seen people say that they have gotten pretty bad rides on it. Theme is definitely a little bit tacky and corny, but the theming is good, if that makes sense. Well, I should say the theme is definitely cliche. Copperhead Strike is number 2 in the park for me most days, but it could change. And the launches, they're not that bad, but they could be better. And the hill after the first loop, 10 out of 10 RMC energy. I just went ahead and nicknamed Copperhead Strike Baby Intamin. So whenever you hear me talking about Baby Intamin, I'm talking about Copperhead Strike. And how much I'll love to talk about how Mach has made its mark on Carowinds with Copperhead Strike, we must move on to the top 3. Velocicoaster at Islands of Adventure in Orlando, Florida. Now, My first ride happened to be in the back and it instantly went to number one. And I know you're probably sick of hearing it, but it is the perfect coaster. I'm like really being picky. I guess the Helix is kind of like a dead point, but it like kind of spices it up with that like off-axis airtime point. It's nice. And the launches were absolutely amazing. I seen enthusiasts complaining about them, calling them weak, but it was my step up from Copperhead Strike to Intamin launch, so it was absolutely world class to me. But comment down below, do you think Velocicoaster's launches are weak? Let me know. But I really do love Velocicoaster and I'm so excited to get back to it in May. If you knew me, you knew this was coming. I really love Fury. It's only two little things about it, and that's the fact that the theme is kind of off, and the storage area below the drop, like that's kind of tacky. I wish they would just fill it with grass, maybe even trees. I don't know, but the ride experience on the other hand is definitely a 10 out of 10. I don't really understand how people don't like the ride, but the only dead spot is like the Helix. I wish they could have did something different, but it was only the second B&M Giga after all, so cut them some slack. But this ride is intense, menacing, and re-rideable all at the same time. This is also one that I can talk about all day, but we must move on to number one. The number one spot goes to Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay. Doubt this was a shocker to anyone because this was the highlight of 2022. First off, the presentation of my whole top three is just amazing. The color scheme, the pacing, just amazing. Airtime, great forces all around, but would this really be an enthusiast video if I didn't complain a little? Sorry to any Gwazi ride ops, but the operations absolutely sucked. I was timing to about 3.5 to 4 minutes to each cycle. But besides that, the experience was amazing. I highly recommend. Also highly recommend leaving a like and a comment on this video, hitting the subscribe button too, obviously. And thank you guys so much.